Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is once again time to check in with Monster High as a brand. I did this at the start of the year in January with my hopes for the brand and things that I wanted to see this year. And we're going to talk about it. This is another adult collector rambles, so if you were looking for a review of any sort, there are plenty of those on the channel. This is not one of them. Anyway, I have a lot to cover. And I've tried recording this video twice already, and it's too long-winded. Thank you, Draculaura, for your input. I'm leaving that in. I feel like I should start with the positives this time around, address some stuff really quickly that I addressed in the first video in this series, which will probably become a series because I plan on probably doing one at the end of the year when we have more dolls, and then one at the start of next year. So this will be a series. Checking in with Monster High. That's what we'll call it. Anyway, let's just start off with one of the main things that I made. Like, one of the main things I said that I can remember clearly from my first video was begging Mattel to release a Claude doll for G3, and, well, I'm satisfied. You know, I'm happy. I am about to have so many of him. It's not even funny. I love this little boy. He is my son. He is my tiny plastic son. He's adorable. He's just, look at him. He's just a little guy. And he's controversial in the doll community. A lot of people hate his eyes, but like when you put him with other G3 dolls, he's fine. A lot of people are just over-exaggerating. I mean, yeah, you can have your own opinion, but also screaming and whining and pissing and shitting yourself about it. And the comments of a post on my Instagram where I literally just posted a picture of him is, a little bit much. A little bit much. Just, I digress. I'm pretty happy with him. I have a hair video for him on the channel to get his hair to sit more like it does in the stock images. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to watch that, use a hair pick. It's 4C hair. Use a hair pick. And then, I also have an unboxing and review of him on the channel if you want to check it out. But, like, overall, I love him so much. I'm so happy that they made him. I hope they make Manny next. And I hope they make Manny before they make Gil. Not because I hate G3 Gil. We have seen him in the cartoon now, and he's actually probably going to be fine because the G3 writers are actually, good at making characters feel like characters and not just like horrible assholes that are irredeemable in every way, shape, or form, which don't try to convince me that G1 Gil was likable in any capacity because aside from his design, he was a terrible character and nobody can convince me otherwise. But G3 Gil, I'm willing to give him a chance. I hope Manny gets a doll before him. Nothing against G3 Gil. But Manny has been in the show longer, and we need a playline Manny, because the prices for the only doll of Manny that we got in G1 are absolutely ridiculous on the secondhand market, and Mattel, you made Manny a very close friend of Deuce and Draculaura. It would be kind of stupid to not release him as a doll, because he interacts with the main cast quite frequently. Like, he's been in basically every episode. I think he's also friends with Laguna, too. Like, Manny is friends with a lot of people in the main group this gen. It's kind of weird that he doesn't have a doll that we know of. Make it happen. Manifest with me, everybody. That's still a point from the last video that, I want Manny to happen. I do. I genuinely do. My camera is, not focusing. Anyway, one of the other things I addressed in my video at the start of the year was Collector. So past me would be disappointed to know that we did not, in fact, get a continuation of the Universal Horror Monsters collabs. Sadly, there is no Wolfman doll. There is no Creature from the Black Lagoon. But we did get an Elvira, who sold out in 2 minutes. Which makes me very sad, because paying for her on the secondhand market is going to be a nightmare. I still want her. Aside from her and Ghoulia, the rest of my opinions on the alumni stuff this year has not been great. Ghoulia I love. Glowing review. I had so much fun unboxing her. She was a pleasant experience to acquire, stress-free. I love her design. I love everything about her. She's just, she's great. I like her. I like her a lot. But, everything else with the alumni stuff, the Valentine's Day set, I wasn't expecting. I was hoping that this time they would keep Cleo and Deuce broken up just because, G1, Cleo, and Deuce are literally an item. In the sense that their relationship is very surface level to me. Even in the diaries, yeah, sure, they write about them going on dates and stuff, and sometimes they acknowledge their feelings about each other, but their relationship just feels very flat to me, and it kind of always has. So seeing them being brought back as a 2-pack and then it not being a Kree production, but instead being a fairly underwhelming for what it was Valentine's Day pack, which in concept could be cute and could work, just felt off. So I skipped that release. Midnight Runway. I like the Midnight Runway dolls. Don't get me wrong. I still want them, but the fact that they're still at the original price when we now know that literally Ghoulia price point could be an option for any of them if they just, change the packaging. It's just a little weird that Haute Couture Midnight Runway is at the price that it's at. It's weird that Frankie still hasn't shipped despite it being almost halfway through the year now since getting them. I mean, they released in February. Their ship by date is in July. Why? I don't know. It's even more questionable because they were able to get enough dolls to the US, to their distribution centers, to send out in PR, which is weird. If you don't have a doll to distribute, then you're not going to send PR, right? So you would think, if Frankie is going to take so long to ship, they must not have any in their warehouses. But they clearly had some that they could set aside. And they did set aside to send. And, while PR doesn't affect the edition size, it's still weird to me that they can't, just send enough to start fulfilling orders in addition to setting aside some for PR. That's just weird in practice. The Chucky and Tiffany dolls, I mean, Chucky's cute. I would have bought her if she was separate. Tiffany was a little underwhelming. I'm sorry, Rebecca Shipman. Tiffany is probably my least favorite that you have designed ever. Just does not read as Tiffany, and I think that's kind of sad because every other Collector doll reads as the character that they're supposed to be, except for Tiffany. It just doesn't feel like her. Chucky feels like Chucky, despite being, gender bent, which a lot of people on social media in the doll community were complaining that Chucky wasn't a boy doll, but I don't really mind that. I in fact am of the position and persuasion that I think Mattel should sprinkle more estrogen pills on horror icons. Please, do Freddy Krueger next. I believe that would be wonderful, and honestly, you know what? Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers as well, please. I think that would be wonderful. Just do it. Do it, Mattel, because they always are, okay, Dracula, a lot of people, Pennywise, Dracula, they look great. I don't mind the gender swapping thing. I think it's fine. I don't know why so many people take an issue with it. This is Monster High we're talking about. Anyway, the Chucky and Tiffany drop kind of pissed me off, the way that it was actually handled, but the dolls themselves, I guess they're okay. I don't really have any other notes for the alumni stuff this year. We still, people are like, oh, we're getting more Creepros this year. I will believe it when I see it, and I will probably not even try to get them because I don't even think it's going to be worth it. I don't care what doll line they reproduce this year. If it's Signatures, if it's Dawn of the Dance, if it's School's Out, I don't care which line they choose to reproduce, because if getting them is going to be as much of a nightmare as it was to try and get Real Drama or the original Cree productions last year, hard pass. Hard pass. Because the distribution for those was awful. Abhorrently awful. And I said that in my video in January, and you know what? That still holds true. In fact, if they do Creepros this year, don't expect to see reviews from me at all, because I will probably be skipping them. in favor of G3. Because G3 is just easier to get a hold of and is winning me over day by day. Like, I am slowly loving G3 more than G1. Maybe that's because it's new. Maybe that's because it's easier to get my hands on. Who knows? But bottom of the line, the alumni stuff starting to piss me off. Now, G3 itself is doing great things. We have Twyla. It's great to see her back. I know she technically, like, people have been able to get her since November of last year, but officially speaking, Creepover released in January of this year. And I love Twyla. She's the highlight of that line alongside Draculaura, in my opinion. I love her. I love her character in the show. I love the music video that she was released with. She's great. Sorry, I'm popping my knuckles. But I am loving that they pulled her back in to the lineup of G3, because so far, familiar characters that we're getting back from G1, it's a very interesting assortment. You know, we have the usual 6: Claudine, Frankie, Draculaura, Laguna, Cleo, Gulia, Deuce. That's 7. I meant to say Deuce first, but we resurrected Gulia, which great that we have the main 7. And then they pulled Abby and Claude back, which I'm incredibly happy about. I'm excited for Abby. I don't know when she's going to release, but, we're looking forward to her. And then Twyla and Toralei also being brought back earlier than they were introduced, at least in the timeline of, how G1 went. And in the show, too, we're also getting a bunch of characters back that I didn't expect at all. I mean, Manny, I said it earlier in this video, but please, Mattel, release a Manny Tar for G3, a Playline one, not a collector one, a non-store exclusive Playline Manny, so that everyone can get him. It'd be wonderful, great. Draculaura deserves her best friend from Puzzleology class. Deuce deserves his roommate. They are roommates in the show, believe. Manny, Deuce, and Claude are, supposed to be in the same dorm, according to the show's lore. Finnegan is back. I think I discussed that in the first video. He's great. Would love to see him as a doll. Heath has grown on me. His design is still not favored among the community, but he is growing on a lot of people because we've seen more of him in the show. Iris is back, and, oh my god, please release her as a doll, because she was underutilized in G1. I liked her a lot in G1. She was a unique design, and she's Iris. I feel like Monster High isn't Monster High without Iris, and that's not something I vocalize a lot, but looking back on, G1 in general, and I actually do have one Iris doll in my collection, she was a great backgrounder, a great secondary, actually no, she was a tertiary character, but she was great for what little of her we did see. So I like that she's back. I like that out of all of the backgrounders that G1 had, they chose Iris. That means something, because she was overshadowed a lot, despite getting a comic book of her own, despite getting a whole arc with Manny, a San Diego Comic-Con doll. She just felt like one of the heavily neglected characters. So it's great to see her again. Howleen is back. She doesn't have a doll yet, but she's back. I don't know if they're planning to reveal that she's related to Claudine in some capacity. She might be. Her last name is still Wolf. We don't know what her relation to Claudine is, aside from the fact that she tried to defend her from Romulus in one of the early episodes this season, and was cut off when she said, "Wait, she's my blank," which a lot of people are thinking either she was going to say cousin or sister. My money is on cousin, just because at this point in time, we know that if Claudine's mom had actually given birth to Howleen, Claude would have known about it. That's the key thing in the whole is Howleen still Claudine's sister thing, is Claude would have known if Howleen is if Howleen was their sister. And she's probably not. She might be their cousin, extended family thing, but I don't think she's going to be their sister anymore. It's still nice to see her. Romulus is back. Persephone and Meowlity are back. Persephone and Meowlity's clothes leaked, so we're getting dolls of them, which is exciting, because I actually like them this generation, which is something that I couldn't say for any of the Werecats in G1, because they just were kind of there. I didn't really care for them. Except for Caddy. I liked Caddy. But who doesn't like Caddy Noir? Like, if you strongly dislike Caddy Noir, you're not normal. And I will tell you that to your face. Like, everybody likes Caddy. Come on. She's Caddy Noir. Which, I'm surprised she's not been referenced at any point in time. Even Nightmare the Horse got brought back in the show. Like, she's back in the show. There were references to her early on in the season, but she's actually, like, full-on been in 2 episodes at this point as a cameo appearance. Skelly Vonderbone is a new character that is a drag queen, which I love that for Monster High. If any doll brand was going to do multiple different versions of queer representation, it was going to be Monster High. So it feels very on brand. I love that for them. Some people are complaining about it, but the people that complain about Monster High doing any sort of queer representation are people that fundamentally do not understand what Monster High is. Don't even debate me about that in the comments. I mean, the brand's entire thing is be yourself, be unique, be a monster, diversity. So if you're surprised and upset that they're including diversity, you're actually, like, not good at media literacy or anything of the sort, and I will once again tell you that to your face. Where was I? We might be getting Skelita back, which, please, I miss her. Would be great to see her as a G3 doll with no glue seepage, sturdier articulation, and, you know. I mean, I'm Mexican. I'm all for more Mexican characters. I'm happy that Claude and Claudine are heritage-wise Mexican this generation as well. Claude more so than Claudine. He's actually bilingual in the series. Claudine is not, despite her music video having her sing in Spanish briefly. But Claude is fully bilingual. Which is cool. You know, it's just nice to see. More Latinas, please. All of the Mexican characters. Give us all of them. I don't care how outraged certain members of the doll community get. More. Every character could be Mexican. Well, no, not every character. But, you know, just more. Because, I don't know about you, but I am, like, when I was growing up, Mexican representation in cartoons, it was there. It just wasn't great. I mean, you had decent ones. Like, real people remember Maya and Miguel. We love them. They were on PBS Kids. We watched them a lot when I was in elementary school. But then, like, thinking back on it, there really wasn't a whole lot of Mexican cartoon characters for me when I was a kid. So it's, you know, it's nice to see them more now. Especially, like, that's why Skelita is very important. My accent is coming out. But, yeah, I digress. You know, more Mexican characters. More characters. Just don't do what G1 did and introduce too many characters. Like, I definitely think there's some characters that we should leave out of the reboot. Both for plot reasons, for doll reasons, and for cultural reasons. Like, I will say Hoodoo Voodoo did not age well. As someone who has friends that, like, actively practice that religion, it was news to me a couple years ago that Hoodoo is, like, actually pretty universally disliked. Which I understand, honestly. I can understand. It was interesting to learn because, you know, Hoodoo as a character in the universe of Monster High is treated very inconsequentially, but then you look at things deeper and he's treated as the butt of the joke and he's a voodoo doll, and it's just kind of like, you know, okay, that's in poor taste. We probably don't need Hoodoo back. Out of all of the secondary and tertiary characters, especially the boys, I don't think he needs to return. Like, I don't think we're going to see Andy. That's not going to happen. I would be surprised if Nathan Rott or Valentine returned, but I don't expect it. I don't expect Cupid. despite how badly I want her, I don't think it's going to happen. A lot of the characters that were added to the Monster High brand after 2013, with like the exception of Finnegan, are just very unnecessary and don't need to come back in any large capacity. There's a few exceptions. Again, Finnegan was one, but like we don't need Quinn Talentino or what's her name, Kirsty Trollston. I don't think that we need those characters back in particular, at least not in the doll line. Like, it's fine if you bring them back in the show, but Monster High, towards the end of its run, had so many characters, it was hard to focus on any storylines. The actual lineups of who was in assortments for series were absolutely a wreck. Like, Ghoul's Getaway, what was that line? That was terrible. Just, there's certain characters that don't need to come back. I'm getting very off topic here, but I think that's about everything. Like, check-in wise with Monster High, they're doing interesting things with the doll line. They're releasing a lot of cool things this summer. Claudine is finally, coming into her own with G3 releases. She's doing great this year. G3 is just, it's doing great. It's doing great for itself, and I hope that continues. Anyway, that's all the time that I have to devote to this video because I'm going to start going off on tangents that I don't need to, so I think we're going to cut it off here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Keep it civil, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.